Hello, this is Bill Bullard with R-CALF USA, the voice of the independent cattle producer in the United States of America. Well, government data show that the U.S. cattle industry is shrinking at an alarming rate. During just the past 25 years, we've lost 20% of our beef cattle operations, 75% of our independent feedlots, and our herd size has shrunk by 7 million head. This prolonged contraction is not caused by drought, competing proteins, inefficiency, poor management, or supply and demand. No, this shrinkage is by design. The organizations overseeing our industry have created a perverse framework of laws and policies that are destroying our industry. They're steering us down the same disastrous path of our sister industries, the poultry, hog, and sheep industries that are but skeletons of what they once were. We're at risk of losing our industry's competitive infrastructure needed to sustain a competitive marketplace that will support hundreds of thousands of independent cattle producers. When this infrastructure is gone, it's game over. Just ask your friends in the poultry, hog, and sheep industries if they think their industries will ever recover from the drastic contractions they experienced. So what is destroying opportunities for independent U.S. cattle producers to remain profitable? And what is R-CALF USA doing about it? Well, first, our cattle industry's markets are fundamentally broken. The relationship between the value of cattle and the value of retail beef has been severed. Today, we have extremely strong beef demand, strong exports, and near-record beef prices. Yet our cattle prices are seriously depressed. This constitutes market failure. What caused our markets to be broken? Well, it's an abject failure on the part of our government regulators to properly enforce our laws intended to protect competition. We've initiated a solution. In April, R-CALF USA filed an historic class action antitrust lawsuit against the Big Four packers, alleging they have violated our antitrust laws, the Packers and Stockyards Act, and the Commodity Exchange Act. There can be no compromise. We must fix our broken markets. Second, U.S. cattle producers are forced to compete with their hands tied behind their backs. Although they produce the safest, most wholesome, and highest quality beef in the world, their beef is not differentiated in their own domestic market from the growing tide of cheaper, undifferentiated imported beef that is brought in from around the world. So what caused this? Well, the meatpacking lobby that is steering our industry in the direction they want convinced Congress to deprive U.S. cattle producers of the fundamental tool they need to compete in their own home market. That tool is mandatory country of origin labeling, which Congress repealed in 2015. Now, the solution is to fully restore mandatory country of origin labeling for beef. Senate Resolution number 391, introduced by Montana Senator Jon Tester, calls on Congress to reinstate country of origin labeling for beef. This is what Congress must do, and cattle producers and consumers alike must stand their ground and accept nothing less than the full reinstatement of mandatory country of origin labeling. Third, the government and transnational corporations have partnered to capture control of the live cattle supply chain, as exemplified by the government's recent efforts to mandate radio frequency identification ear tags on all adult cattle shipped in interstate commerce. So what caused this? Well, transnational ear tag companies have partnered with the USDA and the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef to unlawfully force producers to comply with their RFID and premises identification mandates so they can begin to measure and then manage the live cattle supply chain. Now, the solution is to force the USDA and transnational corporations to respect the rule of law and our U.S. Constitution. In October, R-CALF USA filed a lawsuit against USDA's RFID mandate, and the USDA recently folded by stating it is no longer going to require producers to begin using RFID ear tags beginning January of 2023. Now, fourth, U.S. cattle producers are forced to fund the first three causes of their industry's destruction through the mandatory beef checkoff tax. So what caused this? Well, it's that perverse legal and policy framework that defines our industry, and it ensures that producers will support the meatpacking lobby's efforts to capture control over the live cattle supply chain through vertical integration. And the mandatory beef checkoff program funds this effort. The solution is to defend U.S. cattle producers' constitutional and statutory rights, and R-CALF USA's ongoing lawsuit against 15 state beef councils alleges it is unconstitutional for the USDA to compel ranchers to fund the private speech of private state beef councils that facilitate the capture of their live cattle supply chain. If you want to help, we want you to join R-CALF. With that, we're out of time. Thank you and goodbye.